The LLM doesn't always understand where you're doing work, what jurisdiction you're in, what actually applies to you.
The Weekly Friedman, your source for the most essential information in the default industry, with your host, Adam Friedman.
All right, so I believe there is a fifth hallucination type. You want to walk us through that one?
Yeah, it's called jurisdictional misattribution. It's where the LLM pulls cases and citations that are real. It understands them right. The relevancy is appropriate to what you're doing. The only difference is it's from a different jurisdiction. Let's say that if we go back to the Obdusky example, before the Supreme Court determined this, there were certain circuits that said, yes, you are a debt collector if you are even doing non-judicial foreclosures. And there were certain circuits that said no. So it kind of depended on which state you're practicing in. It could easily come and cite you a case that said, yes, you are, and easily cite you a case that said, no, you're not. You just need to go and figure out, oh, wait a minute, is this relevant to me? Is this jurisdiction relevant to me? It could be geographic. It could be the level of the court. It could be that this is just an appeals court. It could be a Supreme Court. It could be any other decision. And the LLM doesn't always understand where you're doing work, what jurisdiction you're in, what actually applies to you. So going back to the original hallucination we talked about, if you just go back and check, this is an actual citation. It exists. It's the perfect reading. Everything is right. It's just not the relevant jurisdiction.
This is very similar, I guess, to the fabricated authority. Different, but very similar. If you had an agent that lays above what you write, could easily go scrub and confirm the citations again. I think that you solve fabricated authority and the jurisdictional issue if you have a better agent. I think you solve the agreement one by using a better trained LLM and understanding what you're dealing with. I think that the temporal error one is very easy to solve, right? It's very similar to the jurisdictional one. And then distorting holdings is probably the most complex. Which, look, determining the holding of a case is the most complex of any of these things.
The reason we're doing this and the reason that we're trying to get this out there is because you need to be aware of all of these in order to build the tools to mitigate them. And if you just build a tool based on everybody's understanding of hallucination, you just build a tool to be like, hey, if the LLM gives me a citation, make sure it's a real citation. You won't catch any of the other ones. They'll just slip through into your briefings, into your writings, into your documents, because you didn't train it right. You didn't teach it to do that. So you have to be aware of the different ways the LLM can get it wrong so that you can fix them. And you're right, you can fix all of these. You can train an agent, you can train a layer on top of your LLM to go in and probably identify a lot of these things, but you have to know they exist in order to build it. My personal view on hallucination, on LLM in general, is that it's sort of an arms race. You fix things and it's going to get better and these hallucinations are going to go away and we'll do this again in 6 months and there'll be 3 new hallucination types that just didn't come up before. LLMs are extremely complex and they're extremely good at doing what they think you want them to do. We've had instances of LLMs realizing they're being tested and changing the way they do things because they know they're being observed. This is a very complex system. This is not a deterministic, rules-based, I wrote the code, this is what it does system, and we all need to understand. It'll keep coming up with new things, new good things, and new not so good things. As users, we need to be on the lookout. We need to be aware of it. We need to always be suspicious of everything that comes out of our favorite LLM, especially when it sounds very confident. There was a recent research that showed that the more the LLM is hallucinating, the more confident they sound. It's almost like if your LLM is starting to be 100% confident and definitely sure that this is right, that's where you need to dig in deeper and make sure you know what's going on. So I think we can fix these. I think there's going to be new things coming on all the time.
Interesting stuff. Look, I really appreciate it. I think this is a very nuanced topic. There's a lot there. And I'm sure we'll do more. So I appreciate you hopping on.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Thanks for joining Eyal, Leeder, and I on the Weekly Friedman, your source, the most essential information in the default industry. Thanks for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you next time.